Okay. The title today is, the previous one is The People Stuck at the Gorge. Okay. So, because of the concept of the blue economy is very ambitious, I'm actually unraveling it bit by bit so that we can understand the magnitude of the blue economy concept. Okay. Previously, I mentioned about how between the dream and the reality. The dream part is when NGOs, government bodies, activists are campaigning about, coral restoration, mangrove restoration, circular economy, blue carbon, whatever. But they are campaigning because they are the society that lives in an area where the topic is common, which is the urban society. Okay. So, and they are normally talking to the very end of this, which is the sea communities or the coastal communities. So today I'm going to unravel what is going on. In a previous session, we talked about the dream and the reality of blue economy that sits on the other side of the gorge. Without the bridge, none of these people can actually cross the gorge. So they can't afford to, they can't afford even to journey from where they are in the coast to the gorge. They cannot even make that journey because making that journey means wasting time, and therefore that time is not available because they live one day at a time. These people, the coastal community, live one day at a time, whereas conservationists, many of them, biologists, institutions, the people who created the blue economy lives in entirely different world where they have resources, they have the knowledge, they have the technology, they have everything. Whereas the people who are going to make the blue economy a reality are living one day at a time. Okay? So today I'm going to unravel the human capital of the blue economy, how it is going to get materialized. Unless, if we don't know this, we think that, we can just journey from whatever city we are, in Malaysia, in Singapore, in Germany, in England, journey to the coastal region where the poor and desperate people are and start campaigning like we just fall from heaven. It is not, because this is the wrong step, because these people, before we can make the blue economy, build the blue economy, we have to understand the communities. We have to understand the communities. Okay? So, over the past few years, we have heard the phrase blue economy almost everywhere. We hear about blue carbon. We hear about sustainable fisheries. We hear about regenerative conservation. We hear about marine conservation, ecotourism. We hear about circular economy. We hear about community empowerment. This concept they paint a picture, they paint an inspiring picture of the future. Okay? But today, I would like to ask a different question. Where does the journey actually begin? Where does the blue economy journey actually begin? Was it by the people who are creating it and campaigning about it? Or does it begin with the coastal community? I left out the sea community. If you notice, I will explain shortly why. So, then, it is not from the perspective of government. It is not from the perspective of international organization. It is not from the perspective of researcher, whoever they are, but it's from the perspective of the people whose lives we hope to improve. So, we sit in an urban society. We are educated, we are equipped, we have the resources, we have the tools, but we are talking about the people whose lives we are trying to improve. So in today's presentation, I call it Journey to the Gorge. The gorge is a metaphor. Yeah, the gorge is the metaphor. It represents the great divide between where many communities live today and the opportunities that exist within the blue economy. The opportunities are across the gorge. We haven't even started to actually think about how are we going to make that journey, or even if it's started, to take them to the gorge, not to say to cross the gorge to the reality side yet. Because why? Because everyone in an urban society are talking about this dream. Yeah, this very, very dream. It's a very ambitious dream. So, to make that dream materialize, we have to unravel everything in it. So, in these two presentations, the one last week and this presentation, we are just talking about the communities and their journey to the gorge. Okay? That means we are talking about the people. We have not been talking about the environment yet. We have not been talking about the funds, the ideology of how they are going to sustain beyond that one day at a time life that they have, right? They are living one day at a time, okay? So we are trying to improve that. So who are we? We are the urban society. We are at the edge. We hear, see, and talk about blue economy, but struggle to understand and act. Pouring our resources into the gorge and never come back. It's been years and years and years, millions and millions and millions has been poured into the gorge. Why? Because we did not actually pour in this direction, in the direction of people who we want to improve. Okay? So, and then how did communities arrive at the gorge in the first place? How are we going to arrive there? If we look across Southeast Asia, we quickly discover that there are no such thing as a single community. Some people spend their entire lives at sea. The sea people, okay? Sea gypsies, Bajau, Moken, Chaolays, all these people. The least connected to the modern system, living with the sea in harmony with their own tradition, okay? So I will come back to them shortly. Further inland, we have the suburban communities. Okay, further inland, we have the communities that are halfway to becoming the urban society, because cities, villages grow. Okay, they are halfway. But every one of this community, especially the one living on the coast, these are the people who live one day at a time. So then, of course, we no need to describe already the urban society. Okay, the urban society are us, we can say. Okay, every one of these communities occupies a different point along the same journey. Everyone except these guys. Okay, every one of them are at a different stage of making the way to the gorge. Okay, making the way to the gorge, or even find a way to go across the gorge. Okay, so we take the one on the furthest part, the coastal community. So this presentation explores a different way of thinking. Instead of asking how do we build the blue economy, we first ask, who are the people making this journey? Where are they starting from? Because successful strategy do not begin with projects. It begins with understanding the people. It begins with listening before teaching. It begins with observing before planning, with respecting cultures from different pathways or different categories, with respecting cultures from before introducing the change to them. Only when we understand the journey can we build this journey, we can build the bridge that everyone is capable of crossing. Okay? Because if we don't understand where it started, we are starting, actually, everybody is starting from the urban side. The urban side. Everybody is talking, everybody is trying, everybody has their own idea, everybody wants to be a hero, everybody wants to be Superman, Spider-Man, whatever man is here. Yeah. But the journey begins here. So we have lost half of the way, maybe 3/4 of the way to the gorge, not even considering building the bridge yet. And then, if we are starting from where we are, then the blue economy does not apply to the coastal community. Then we shouldn't be calling it blue economy at all. Okay? So, tonight, I'm going to invite you to travel with me from the open sea to the coastal villages, across the plain and the suburban landscape, to the urban centers, and finally to the edge of the gorge itself. Okay? Along the way, perhaps we will discover that the greatest challenge in building the blue economy is not crossing the gorge. It is understanding the journey that brings every community there first, Okay? And then we will begin now. We start with the one that lives at sea, the sea nomads, living in harmony, the one that I left outside of the blue economy. Why? Why was that? Because these are the people who live like a computer, binary, 0 and 1. 0 food, go catch food, eat what you need, and then wait. When there's 0 again, 0 and 1, almost like a computer. The restraint is just system. Sustainability is their natural way of life. Okay? If you try to change these people, you can try all your life. It will never happen. Why? Because they live the most sustainable life for themselves already. When you ask them to change, they look at you like you fall from another planet. Because why? Why do they need to change? They have everything. They have food, they have family, they have everything. You are asking them they want a flat screen TV or everything. They don't need that. These are people who actually today live in paradise already. You don't introduce your paradise to them because it will never work. Yeah? Why I say this? Because I used to live with them. For your information, I have all the tropical disease, malaria, dengue, hepatitis, chikungunya, whatever you call it, I have it all because I live in this environment with them to try to understand. Because before I was trying to do the same like everybody else, thinking that I'm going to make their life better. Yeah? Who are they? They are maritime people who have lived with the ocean for centuries, not just users of the sea, but children of the sea. Their wisdom, take only what they need, respect the ocean, live lightly, travel gently, share, not hoard, and leave no trace. That is how they live. The guys that actually bomb the ocean are this kind of people who have converted and live in the coast. Yeah. The actual sea nomads that actually live in the sea, they don't do destruction. The sea nomad that we try to convert into a modern society who suddenly discover greed, those are the ones. But the actual sea nomad, forget it. You will never change them because there's the way of life. When there's 0, we go to the sea. The sea gives us 1, and 1 is enough. Their life is between 1 and 0 and 0 and 1, almost binary, like the operation of a computer, right? You try to change, it will never happen, okay? In a world that chases more, they teach us enough. This is what these people are. We live in a world that teaches us more all the time. Produce, consume, collect. Yeah? They don't. To build a true blue economy, we must honor those who have always lived in the blue. Not every culture needs to change. Some culture needs to be protected because their way of life are already right. Their way of life is already right. They knew about the blue economy all along already, okay? So let's move to the next one. Now, we go to the coastal community. This is the mixed culture. The mixed culture that live within the broken promises. Okay? Closer to the gorge, closer to the challenge. Coastal community. The ocean promises survival. That's why they live by the ocean. But survival and prosperity isn't always there. Yeah. But today, the coast is the corridor of collapse. Yeah. And then we blame the sea nomad for it. Okay. Then the poorest are not the sea nomad. The poorest are these communities. Yeah, you go to the Philippines, you go to Indonesia, you go, and then you watch the bajau that lives at sea. Do they suffer like the people in the coast actually live in dumpsters? Yeah. So then you realize that these are the people that needs to be changed, that needs to be educated. They are caught in the cycle that destroys their own foundation, the coastal community. And some of the bajau that was drawn into this kind of community, they too are part of that people who are caught in the cycle that destroys their own foundation. Their lack of education, their lack of resources, their lack of conscience and care, their lack of, they're operating at a degenerative rate, yeah? And they're living and believing on the broken promise of the ocean that is collapsing. Yeah. So now, what do they have? They have something. They have what we call the TEK, traditional environmental knowledge. Yes, these people live by the sea. They understand the sea. They not understand the sea as much as the bajau, but they know the sea. Yeah, they have traditional knowledge of the sea, the environmental knowledge, traditional environmental knowledge. Okay, so but they don't have everything the urban society have. They don't have the resources. They don't have the proper education. They don't have the tools and equipment. They don't have, yeah, most of the time they don't have support too. Okay. So for us, first, we need to understand. Understand means listen with respect, learn their reality. We don't talk about our blue economy reality yet. We talk about their realities. We build a connection. We build a connection, we build trust and strong relationship. We empower them with education and skill. We collaborate to work with them to find a real solution. Then only the transformation can take place. And this duty are for people like us, the urban society, the people who have the knowledge and everything. But how we are going to do this? How we are going to do this? Now let me give you an example. One of these little boys here was sitting next to the little boat here. They grow up to be a fisherman. They catch 10 kilos of parrotfish and sold them for 10 peso each. They get 100 peso, yeah? And they bring home. That's a day of work, around $2, okay? So how are we going to do that? Telling them that, oh, if you follow me, I will bring you the blue economy reality. They don't understand what you're saying. You're talking alien to them, okay? They understand, they go out to sea, they catch 10 kilos, that is 100 pesos. That's $2 for their family for that day, okay? And then you're telling them to lift that $2 a day into the unknown, even not possible. Okay? So that is why I started recently the Urban and Coastal Societal Mission, UCSM. I started for purpose of making an example to the urban society how you are going to start this journey. Yeah, you are talking about circular economy, planting coral, planting everything, planting yourself if you are dead. That doesn't mean anything to these people. We need to connect the urban society who have these ideas, who have the resources, the technology, the equipment, the everything, and lack traditional environmental knowledge, TEK. So we combine the coastal TEK and whatever we have, and then we build a society that is interconnecting. Yeah. Yeah, there are coastal people who send their kids to school. Yeah. But not as far as higher education. Very rare that they reach a higher education. Okay. A bridge between the urban society and coastal community, or a movement that brings knowledge, resources, and opportunity where it needed the most. Okay, so you cannot start the journey by taking them and going to the gorge, but you have to go there first to prepare them for that journey. Okay, to prepare them. Maybe it take a year, a couple of years, 5 years, 10 years, then it becomes purple economy already, right? So that is all the dreams of the urban society that did not unravel the reality of the communities that needed it the most. Okay? So by bridging urban society and coastal communities, then we just prepare them for the journey to the gorge. Okay? Once they understand that they know they are respected, they gain the trust, yeah, we gain the trust of them, and then we can empower them through education, to bringing them knowledge, useful knowledge. Not talking about naming what coral species there is. Coral taxonomy doesn't work with this part, okay? You can go to university and learn coral taxonomy and try to bring conservation to these people. That taxonomy doesn't work, okay? You have to tell them the reality of what the coral reef means in terms of dollars and cents, okay? So we need to build the capacity, not dependency. We need to restore the ecosystem while we are doing that. So that means we, the urban society people, will go there and initiate a little bit at a time to restore ecosystem. While we are doing that, we use the services of these people. By using the services of these people, then we are bringing them extra income more than that $2 a day, okay? Slightly more. And then we bring also volunteers from other urban societies, from other parts of the world, to travel and help to volunteer and work in the society, bringing opportunities to the coastal community. And therefore, slowly, they are able to let go of that $2 a day job and find a better way to sustain themselves. Then help us with protecting the environment, create opportunity. We will talk about this shortly. Then we can empower them to lead. Yeah. Remember, we are talking about commerce literacy, right? Then we must allow them to grow their businesses, their enterprise, their whatever, yeah? Not us running the business. They run, empower them, okay? Lead their own future. Then we build a truly regenerative blue economy, okay? So that means at this point, at some point during this part, the journey has begun. When the journey begins, we already gain their trust, we connect them, we educate them, we collaborate with them, and then we build capacity. We are restoring the ecosystem so that the ecosystem become regenerative, okay? And then we will make them understand the value of the coral reef, okay? The value of the coral reef. So now I give you an example, value of a coral reef. Every people who run a dive center or a resort by the sea, when they make their price, they include their expenses, they include salary for their staff, they include fuel expense, they include transportation, they include depreciation of their equipment, yeah? They include loan repayment, they include everything. But do they include the cost of the environment that is providing for them? The reason why tourists come to their island, to their coral reef, to dive with them is because of the coral reef. And the coral reef is slowly dying. Do they think about how much it costs to restore it? None. None, right? So, how much is it? Well, think of it this way. One parrotfish, if you sell in the market, if it weighs 100 grams, it's going to cost about 10 pesos, maybe less, 8 pesos, maybe, right? Then, that was, you can't even figure out how much in dollars it is. Maybe a couple of cents, yeah? Then, if that parrotfish is alive, and this little boy who is sitting by the beach here takes tourists to see that colorful, beautiful fish and make $1 a day, how much will that fish value? It will be $30 a month. And if its lifetime is 10 years, then you multiply that, right? So that is for only this one boy, how many $1,000 it will get from that one parrotfish. Now you take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other boys that is standing nearby, and you multiply the value of the life of that parrotfish suddenly become exponentially more, correct? So these are the people who live with the ocean every day. Yet, unlike the sea nomad, they are deeply connected to the modern economy. For generations, the coast represents opportunity to them, not today. It promised food, it promised livelihood, it promised prosperity. Entire civilization are built along coastlines because these people believe the sea provided everything the people need to survive. But today, many of these coastlines tells a different story. The coast has become a corridor of collapse, a collapsing ecosystem by overfishing, pollution, mangrove destruction, coral reef degradation, unsustainable coastal development. What was once a promise has become a place of a broken promise. Okay? Ironically, coastal communities sometimes view the sea nomad as poor because they own very little, the sea nomad. But if we look more closely, we begin to question who is truly poor. Okay? The sea nomad often take only what they need. Many coastal communities had adopted a different philosophy. That philosophy is about produce more, consume more, own more, yet somehow there is never enough. That is the influence that the urban society has inadvertently give to them. Yeah, but they never give positivity like understanding them, connecting them, empowering. No, they never give them. They give them bad influence of produce more, consume more, and own more. And somehow there's never been enough. Okay? So this is what they are living in now. Now comes to the urban society. We have trend-driven awareness. And this blue economy is no different. It's a trend. Yeah? And that trend is actually has a good initiative, has a good intent. That is why I would like to bring this to the people. But a lot of people who I talk to in the urban society misunderstood it entirely. Okay? The urban society, they live closest to the gorge. They have knowledge, and they have knowledge of the blue economy exists. They know that it's good. They know that everything. But do they fully understand how ambitious this initiative are? If they truly understand, then there's a lot of things that can go wrong with the blue economy if we apply it differently. Yeah. So they have initiative without strong foundation. That's it. Then they reach the dead end. Project remains small, isolated. The coastal people not seem to be interested. Yeah, because you have never taken them out of that $2 a day job yet. Okay? So, therefore, they leave you to hang there to dry in the dead end by yourself. They will be happy to earn $2 a day and watch you go downhill. Okay? Right. So, then we also are dependent on high financial dependency. Yeah? We are dependent on financial. Then also, living in an urban society, to initiate the true blue economy, there's a greater distance to the coast. Yeah, not to the gorge, to the other way, where we will find the purpose of the blue economy. We're going across to the gorge, to the coast. Yeah, we are sitting next to the gorge, watching the objectives on the other side. Okay, so there's a distance from the target. And because of this distance, it is costly, because anything the urban society creates, it is dependent on finance, including the journey going to the coast, not to say taking from the coast to the gorge yet. Yeah, the greater distance. Then this is what the coastal people have that we don't have. We need to reach out to them first, and then understand them, gain their trust, and then learn all this lack of traditional environmental knowledge. Traditional environmental knowledge are lacking in the urban society. We talk about economy, we talk about blue economy, sustainability, we talk about circular things, we talk about carbon sequestration, we talk about everything. But yeah, it is beautiful to look at, but it's empty on the inside. Okay? So, the urban society, we have the financial, we have the knowledge, we have the science, we have the financial resources, we have the network and influence. We are closer to the policy and the systems. The coastal community, they have traditional knowledge, yeah, generational experiences, local ecological wisdom. They can be the stewards, yeah, not us, not the director of ABC Conservation, be the stewards. No, no, no. The steward should be the coastal community, yeah, because culturally they are the right people as well. And they have direct connection to the ocean. Some people who live in an urban society, who are knowledgeable, who are academicians, who are whatever you are, we bound to have this propensity to make a name, fame, money, exposure, all this. But the true stewardship are the people who are directly connected to the ocean. Okay? So, all these environmental awards, they should be given to the coastal people. Then, partners, not donors. Collaborators, not beneficiaries. Yes, what we build between us and the coastal community is a partnership. We are not donating anything to them. Yeah? We make them a collaborator in a system that will eventually bring them long-term benefits. We are not bringing them something that they will spend all and wait for more. Okay? So we bring them conservation, like by channeling conservation bodies and NGOs. I will not talk about governments because I don't know how, but they might, through politics, can enable policies, regulations, long-term frameworks, but the private sector can, through ESGs, through investment in responsible enterprise, yeah, environmental, social, and governance, and then the academia people can help to educate the people. Local leaders, these are appointed people in the communities, whether by them by voting or by government, they too have to lead on the ground. They have to lead their own people on the ground. Okay, this is the most difficult part because most situation in the coastal area where people are living one day at a time, more often than not, their leaders are the ones who are greedy. Okay, now I'm not saying everyone, but in most circumstances, they are. Okay, so then we are looking at the outcome. Together we will cross the gorge. Okay, we will slowly bring them, through bringing them, provide scientific integrity and guidance, providing them with long-term regulations, good policies, the private sector help with financing, the academia help with education, and their leaders take the road. Okay? Then only they will eventually arrive at the gorge. Okay? The journey will arrive here at the gorge. Then With that, we start to build the bridge together. Nobody is going to be comfortably singing their way across the bridge without being part of the building, okay? So that means the coastal community will be part of the blue economy. The researchers, the NGOs, the government, everybody has to be together. Then only the bridge will materialize, okay? The bridge. So, having said, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stakeholders just right there. Yeah, conservation bodies, government, private sector, academia, and researchers, and local leaders. 5 stakeholders. If we are going to get to make decision based on all of these guys agree, the bridge will never be built. Okay? So, in the next session, I will be talking about the complexity of this multi-stakeholder system, the complexity of the multi-stakeholder system that is going to build the bridge across. And across the bridge, across the gorge, is what? The objective of the blue economy. Without these 5 stakeholders leading the way, building the bridge together, the reality of blue economy is far away, very, very far away from its reality. Okay? That is what it is. Then the outcome, when we can work together across the gorge, then only we will arrive at the objective of the blue economy. We have stronger initiative. We have sustainable funding model, whereby everything is working as regenerative. Okay? The ecosystem is taken care of. In one of the presentation, after the next one, we will be talking about the ecosystem, how the ecosystem is going to be the financial capital of the blue economy. Okay? And then we are thriving communities. This is the actual dream. Yeah, thriving communities. This is the actual dream. Okay? So, when this happens, then we are going to have a regenerative blue economy. A regenerative blue economy. This is what lay across the gorge, right here. Okay? Right. So the stakeholder, there's no single community has everything, but together we have everything we need. So let's build the bridge and connect the people, knowledge and nature to reach the gorge. Beautiful, isn't it? But it is not that easy, okay? It's not that easy. Now we have known about the human factor of the blue economy. We are going to talk the last part of the human factor, which is the complexity of multi-stakeholder approach in the blue economy. Okay? Yes, we think beyond the trends. We think beyond the trends. We build relationship, not projects. We learn from tradition. We knit our strengths, create the bridge. Together we can build a blue economy that lasts. Yeah, that's on the bottom right. But that, you need to learn about who is involved and what is involved, what is their task, what is their role, what is their role play, and how complex it is, a multi-society or multi-stakeholder complexity that we are going to talk in the next session. Okay? Then we are going to talk about the intermediaries. What do I mean by intermediaries? Yes, there are intermediaries. Intermediaries means people who are the NGOs, yay, the social groups, yay, the environmental group, yay, the conservation enterprises, yay. These are the people who is going to be the intermediaries, not the middlemen. Right now, why does the boy earn 100 peso a day, $2 a day? Because the parrotfish that was sold on the barbecue for the tourists is actually $10, 5 times more than what the boy is selling. Why? Because there's another kind of intermediary we call the middleman. The middleman makes 40 peso. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So then the restaurant makes another 100 peso. So the boy who earns $2 a day sell many kilos of parrotfish. Then there are middle people who profited from it. Those are not the intermediaries we are talking about. We are talking about intermediaries, people who go in between to communicate from the urban society to the coastal society, who will make this happen. The people who's going to make this happen are non-governmental bodies, social groups, environmental groups, and conservation enterprises. Yeah. None of these fall under just one type of stakeholder, which is the non-governmental bodies. Okay. So the other stakeholders are not here yet. They're not intermediaries. They're not playing the role as intermediaries. Not even the government who makes the policy. They are not intermediaries. They are on the upper level that makes policies. Okay? So the intermediaries, like people like me who work in NGO, are intermediaries. That is why we understand the coastal people, and there are many intermediaries who did not fully understand this yet. Yeah, so that is the difference. These people will actually work at most NGOs, social groups, environmental groups rely on external funding. This is their constraint. These three, 1, 2, 3, they rely on external funding, except conservation enterprise. These are new in today's world. These are enterprises who are self-sustaining. They earn income. They are enterprise, they are businesses that in the years back, we call it green businesses, right? So then they find a services and solution to environmental thing. And then they create products that regenerate their income. They are regenerative businesses that capitalize on an ecological capital. We will talk about that. Okay? So what the conservation enterprise can make possible is that they can empower communities. They can create jobs, of course. They also restore ecosystem while they are doing their businesses. they operate sustainably livelihood. They create a resilient economy. They interconnected societies, yeah? Then they make the reality of the regenerative blue economy. So I run Ocean Quest Global as a social enterprise, and that is a conservation enterprise. Okay, so I have never take grants from nobody. I hardly get any donation, but Ocean Quest lasted 15 years funding its own way, okay, and also make an impact on the environment, okay, and the people and the communities they work. So this is why I also in the process of writing the book about conservation enterprises, okay? So they also connect people, they collaborate, they empower, they reinvest, and then they innovate, yeah? And then they inspire more younger generation to become part of the group. And today that group is called Organic Reef Restoration Center. This one here at the bottom right, okay? That is where I am now, okay? So if you look at the address, it is the website address, and it's called UCSM, the Urban and Coastal Societal Mission. You will find it in the website. Okay. Now we have a clear view of the bridge. We don't have the people who want to build it yet. We have the clear view. We know the people. We are yet to get the people traded traditional knowledge and the blue economy knowledge. Yeah, they did not trade it yet. Then we are talking a lot about natural ecosystem. We are yet to arrive there. So everything that is under this box are the pillar of this bridge. Okay, enterprise and innovation that is lasting livelihood to these people here in the coast. Okay, to these people who we are going to drag with us across the bridge. Before we can do that, they need to earn more than $2 a day. Yeah. So that is the difference. Right. I will talk about the conservation enterprise on another session because that is very long. If I want to dissect this all, it is a presentation by itself. Okay. So let's see. And yeah, question? Hello?
Yes, it's Mona. Actually, as usual, all of my thoughts are actually within the presentation and already talked about. And again, my concerns, you already introduced to your next educational meeting. So what I can say is that I think it's also very important that the other side, just as well, simultaneously, like the boy that earns nothing for the fish, and the government and the rich people and the economy that is robbing everyone, has to be educated just as well that they cannot eat money. that they will destroy everything, including themselves.
That is even longer way. That's an even long.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is
But
that is
how
that
can we
is
how can we
no
build
no
everything?
you cannot. You must understand this.
Okay.
Every people in the modern society is about produce more, earn more, own more, and never enough. Okay,
Exactly.
that yeah. So we cannot change that overnight. We cannot change that overnight. But the topic here is blue economy that we are going to build because we are relating to the ocean environment and ecosystem and the people who live and dependent on it. But one of the stakeholders, or few of the stakeholders, I can say all the stakeholders, are urban societies who live in the earn more, produce more, own more, and live in a never enough system of life. Okay, so these people have to understand that this doesn't apply to the sea nomad. It can apply later on to the coastal community that we are trying to improve from $2 a day boy
Yes.
into an enterprise. But that enterprise is a different enterprise, a regenerative enterprise, whereby nature is not destroyed, yet they can live on it, they can sustain on it indefinitely, right? For any period of time. Because if they destroy nature like today, collect the parrotfish and go sell, collect the sea urchins, go sell, collect the giant clam, go sell, they're depleting the ocean and a degenerative system that is going to destroy their future. But if they start aquaculture, for example, they start things like this is part of the blue economy, right? So we are teaching them on how things will regenerated were regenerating in the sea and the value of it. They have to know how to put a price on things. And we will talk about it in conservation enterprise. Because why? Because that boy alone cannot go to the market and sell it for $3 a fish. When he sells 10 fish for $2 and everybody else is selling 10 fish for $2, he cannot go and say, I want $3 for one fish today. He cannot. So how do we do that? That's in conservation enterprise.
Well, union and build a big union. And what my question is, can we build this blue economy without the very greedy, rich, and very unflexible government?
No, we cannot exclude. In this case, we cannot exclude. The people who's
It
gonna
doesn't end at the restaurant, no?
Yeah, the people who eat in a restaurant are not this $2 boy. The people who eat in a restaurant probably are from Europe or from Turkey or from Middle East or from India or from China or from the city who earns money, and eat it all and find out that tomorrow they need more money because they need exotic food. They need this and they need that. And those exotic food are constantly demanded out of that $2 boy, right? So that $2 boy will be able to regulate this. Oh yeah, if you are hungry, you want more, yeah, I can produce more, but you have to pay more now because so and so and so, okay? This is how it's going to work.
So you say that these enterprises, the more they get, can influence them to pay or force them to pay more, and we don't have to go directly to the government and make rich people to donate and get it into their...
No. In blue economy, donation grants are on the bottom of the list. funding like a dream fund of $1 million coming from the sky. No. In blue economy, we built it. We built it so that it is self-sustaining. As it's self-sustained, it starts to snowball and become bigger and bigger and bigger, yet sustainable. We have to take away the ideology of NGOs and all these bodies that waiting and competing for grants, for donation, for this and that. That is not sustainable.
But it needs to be financed somehow.
Yes. And that has to come from the ocean. That is called the environmental capital. That is coming.
Yeah, again, as usual.
Okay?
Okay.
Right. So I'm going to say good night already. Then we will talk in the next session. In the next session is a very interesting one because I'm going to unravel the complexity of multi-stakeholder system in building that bridge. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So my questions are going to be asked next time, as usual.
Okay. Good
Okay.
night.
Good night.